Our next task is to make the left paddle move up when the W key is pressed. And to do that, we need to create several variables. Okay, so we need a paddle speed variable. We need a paddle Y position variable. And we also need a paddle up variable, which is going to be equal to, it's going to be Boolean, it's going to equal to false. And we need a paddle underscore down variable, which is going to be equal to false as well. So the speed, we can set it equal to 5. That's the increment of how much the paddle is going to move up or down, how many pixels he's going to move up or down, depending on what key is pressed. And then the Y position is where the paddle is on the screen. So what we're going to set the Y position of the paddle to is this guy right here. Right, so that expression, I'm going to copy that. I'll paste it right here. And what we can do now that we have this P underscore Y is we're going to replace the blit, the second argument of the blit, to P underscore Y. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to detect whether the W key is pressed, and if the W key is pressed, we are going to decrement. We're going to decrement the P underscore Y by P underscore speed. So if P underscore Y was the middle of the screen, we are going to subtract 5 from it, which is going to bring it into a higher location when it gets placed onto the screen and flipped. So in that way, this while loop is going to be going, and if the W key is pressed and held down, then what should be happening is PY should be decreasing by 5 every iteration of this while loop. And what we should be getting is the illusion of movement on the screen, right? So how do we do that? Well, we're going to come in here into the for loop, because the for loop is where we're detecting keystrokes, right? And we'll say if event dot type is equal to pygame dot key down like that, and then you're gonna say if event dot key is equal to pygame dot w. Okay, and if that's the case, then you know. So well, let me just go ahead and continue, and we're gonna say P underscore Y minus equals P underscore speed. So to break this all down, what is this doing? Well, this for loop again is iterating through all the keystrokes that are happening on the keyboard. And so let's say I'm pressing the W key. That means that this is an array that has the W key on it. So this for loop is going to iterate once, with event being the W key. It's going to check if this is true. This is not true, because this is true only when your mouse clicks on the red button on the top left corner of the screen. So it's not going to do that. Then it's going to check, is this true? And yes, it is true, because the event type is that I'm holding down the W key, right? So that the type is key down. So I'm holding down a key. So then it's going to come in here and it's going to check if this is true. Is the key of the event the W key? It is true. It is the W key. So I am going to subtract 5 PY by 5. And so if PY was 300, now it is 295. Okay? And why is that important? Because then it's going to stop this for loop. It's going to come down here to the screen.blit, and it's going to blit the paddle at 295 when it used to be at 300. So what is that going to do? That's going to move the paddle up by 5 pixels. And then we flip it to the screen so the user, the client, or the person who's playing sees it. And then we come back into the while loop. I'm holding down the W key, so it comes back into the for loop. This is not true. This is true. This is true. And now PY becomes 290, and we blit the paddle at a higher location. And we flip it so the user sees it. And that happens over and over and over again until the paddle moves upward on the screen, right? Or continues to move upward on the screen. So let's see if all of that worked, and we'll go ahead and right click and we will run test. Now I'm pressing the W key now. Ooh, that did not work. So line 33, pygame Oh, actually, it's K underscore W. Okay, so that's the code for the W key. And of course, every other key is K underscore and the letter on the keyboard. So let's try that again. I press the W key now, and you could see he is moving up, right? So what I wanted to do is if I hold it down, it should continue to move upward, right? So how can we do that? Well, right here we don't want it to decrement the py, right? What we actually want to do is we want to toggle on and off these two variables that we made, the p up and the p down, right here. So if the W key is being pressed, then we're going to change p underscore up to be true, and we're going to change p underscore down, or we're going to keep p underscore down, but let's go ahead and set it and be explicit, p underscore down to false. Okay, so then these are going to tell the program what to do with the paddle. And so now that we're here, we can have an if statement. And of course, this is outside of the for loop. So the for loop's purpose is to toggle these two variables either on or off. And then once we're out of it, we can say if p underscore up is true, then we are going to py minus equals p underscore speed. So now if we do that, that should get the paddle moving upward if I hold it down. Okay, we have these trailing sprites, and we're going to talk about that in the next task.